Good morning, I'm Debbie Cruz. It's Tuesday, June 17th. A refugee from Afghanistan is the latest to be arrested at an immigration hearing. More on that next. But first, the headlines. Today, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals will hear arguments over who controls California's National Guard, the state or the federal government. Last week, a lower court ruled President Donald Trump must return National Guard authority to Governor Gavin Newsom. But the appeals court put on hold that ruling. The case deals with the 4,000 National Guard members activated to help protect federal property in Los Angeles. But it does not touch on the issue of using active duty Marines. President Trump ordered 700 Marines from 29 Palms to help with the response. City leaders today will review the military equipment used by the San Diego Police Department. The department will deliver a presentation to the City Council this afternoon on its arsenal and how it's used. In last year's presentation, dozens of items were reviewed, from drones to various guns. The session starts at 2 p.m. and will include public comment. And tomorrow, a vote will be held to determine the new permanent superintendent of the San Diego Unified School District. Fabiola Bagula has served as interim superintendent since September, after the former superintendent, Lamont Jackson, was fired for alleged misconduct. If appointed, Bagula would be the first Latina and the third woman to be superintendent in the district's 171-year history. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Latino Legacy Foundation, presenting their Storyteller series, Reach for the Stars with Ellen Ochoa, the first Latina astronaut, former NASA director, and San Diego native, Sunday, June 29th. More at latinolegacyfoundation.org.
Reports of immigration detentions after court hearings are growing. The latest targeting an Afghan refugee who helped U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Reporter Tanya Thorne has video that was taken after his immigration hearing in San Diego.
The video shows Syed, an Afghan refugee, being detained by ICE agents at the Federal Immigration Court in San Diego last week. Syed is allowing us to use his first name only for his safety.
I have a warrant for his arrest.
Yes, we do.
Provide the warrant. Provide the warrant.
I work with the U.S. military. Just tell to them. You can come with us, sir.
Syed says he escaped Afghanistan after being targeted by the Taliban for being an interpreter to U.S. troops. In July 2024, he was lawfully paroled into the U.S. after a CBP-1 appointment in San Isidro. He has a pending special immigrant visa and an active asylum application. He was detained when he went to his first official hearing. Sean Van Diver with the organization Afghan Evac says this case serves as a warning.
No one can define it. There's no appeal. It's being weaponized to put lawful parole-compliant asylum seekers in cells and kicked out of the country.
He says immigration detentions following court hearings are happening to people trying to get lawful status in the U.S. Syed remains in detention. Van Diver says his attorneys plan to challenge the decision. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
President Trump recently said protesters should not be allowed to wear masks. That comment is raising concerns among health experts. Health reporter Heidi DeMarco explains why one San Diego physician says masking is still an important option.
In a social media post on June 7th, Donald Trump claimed masks were banned at protests, saying it prevents law enforcement from identifying violent agitators. Pediatrician Maya Kumar says people, especially those at higher risk, should have the freedom to protect themselves.
I would just encourage everyone to carefully weigh the risks of going to, a crowded gathering without wearing a mask, particularly if you have not been vaccinated or you have underlying health conditions that predispose you to more severe illness.
Studies show immunocompromised people are still more likely to be hospitalized or die from COVID, even if vaccinated. And during the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests, where up to 96% of people wore masks, 11 out of 12 cities saw no spike in COVID cases.
A person with a serious illness like asthma or heart disease or maybe who's pregnant or who's elderly. It only takes one exposure to one sick person to potentially land you in the hospital.
Kumar says decisions about masking should be personal, not political. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
KPBS listeners know the value of radio, not only for news or music, but also for vital information during an emergency. In the North County, there is a local station that keeps its community informed and is helping to preserve indigenous culture. Video journalist Carolyn Corrales tunes us into Pala Res Radio.
Turn on your radio when you're driving east on Highway 76, and you can find a station that you can't hear anywhere else.
Res Radio 91.3, a service of Kupa Pala Res Indians.
Res Radio has been owned and operated by the Pala Band of Mission Indians since 2011. Before then, the quiet town of Pala was often isolated from news coverage in San Diego County. It had the Pala Casino and Mission San Antonio de Pala, but it didn't have a lot of options for news and information. Then came 2007.
There were some bad fires in North County, and communication around here was terrible. San Diego had its own fires to deal with, so local media completely ignored North County. Pala was evacuated because there were fires on two sides of it. Most people stayed out of town for about 4 days, not realizing they could have come back after about 4 hours. The communication was that poor.
That's station manager John Fox, a veteran of the San Diego broadcast market. He was brought in at the very beginning.
So when a window opened up for new radio stations, the tribal council decided to apply for one, hoping to avoid things like that in the future.
And Pala Res Radio was born. Fox says the station exists to provide critical information to tribal members.
We're here for an emergency. It may only be 0.1% of the time, but when you need it, you need it. And that's where cell phones fall down. I mean, no matter how good broadband gets, when it hits the fan, everybody's going to be on there and the bandwidth is gone and you can't get through. If you've got a car, you've got a radio and you've got a way to get emergency information and not worry about whether you're fighting with 10,000 other cell phone users.
Fox says their goal is to give all tribal communities in San Diego County vital information and preserve tribal culture.
We've done a number of interviews with elders, some of whom have already passed now. So we're certainly glad we were able to talk to them when we could.
Eric Ortega is the station's only other employee. He's also a tribal member. And even before coming to Res Radio, he was recording tribal elders' stories. He took those archives and created a radio show called Pala Life Past and Present, sharing stories and the language.
When I was doing my Pala Life Past and Present, I started incorporating some of the language into that. And it just kind of built from there. We started at incorporating more language to it. We came up with the idea about doing the time checks in the language. I figured it was a way for people to learn how to learn the numbers. Because you can hear what we say, look at the clock, and you go, oh, okay, that's what they're saying. We started doing our top of the hour, has Jemashatahim Kupanga, which means we are the people of Kupa, and it says KPRI.
KPRI Pala.
And they're preserving more than language.
I got a call one time from a lady in our community. She wonders why we don't play more bird songs, local music, like Native American music.
Well, bird songs are a type of Native music particular to the Southwest.
Here's Fox again.
If you go to the Midwest, upper Midwest areas like that, you're going to hear drumming, powwow music. Powwows, while they happen here, they're not quite so much a Southern California thing. Bird songs are, and they tell stories.
Ortega made it his mission to go to as many events as he could where there would be birdsong performances, regardless of tribal affiliation. If the songs were social and deemed shareable, he broadcast them on his other radio show, Songs of the Southwest. Often, he would make new friends and learn more about the traditional songs.
I learned more about bird songs than I never thought I didn't even know I didn't know. When I came to the radio station, I was thinking of it just as a radio station. After I started working here and with John prompting, we made it more ours. A lot of beautiful things are done here. I believe we made it like a great piece of art, at least as far as our community is concerned.
From Pala, I'm Carolyn Corrales, KPBS News.
That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Debbie Cruz. Thanks for listening, and have a great Tuesday.
KPBS On Demand is supported by the San Diego County Toyota dealers, offering a new 2025 lineup of vehicles at your local Toyota dealer, including a new Tacoma with turbocharged 4-cylinder engines and a hybrid powertrain option. The San Diego County Toyota dealers. We make it easy.